So the phenomenological path of awareness. So I've used how Bert Hellinger, who is the founder of Constellation, Family Constellation, how he defines phenomenological path of awareness. That's what I have used. And I just want to just go through that with you. It is subjecting to a larger context and connection without needing to understand it. Yeah, it's like you may have an intention, the client comes with an intention, yeah, but when you are sitting there, you are not working towards that intention. You are also dropping it fully in that moment, but can you include something more? Really sitting with the client, yeah? And to be really okay with not knowing where this is going to go, yeah? Whether I'll be able to help or not. You don't know anything. You're allowing yourself to have that kind of openness, yeah? And absence of the intention of helping or proving anything. And that is, this I find it very, sometimes when a client shares something, the immediate impulse in us is something in us just wants to jump in to help. And that's when to practice restraint, to move back, take a step back in your insight, So I notice this because now we can do so much work on Zoom. In my Zoom, I relax back into the chair. When my impulse to help is really more, I relax back. So my movement is in a sense of really being there and waiting. Yeah, it's the ability to draw inwards. And then really submitting without fear of what might rise. Yeah, because you don't know where this is going to go. Sometimes, even in bi-weekly, if you're practicing, we say, bring something which is less than 3, right? And you sit there, and suddenly it's not 3, you're in 9, where you go immediately, right? And suddenly you're like, whoa, yeah? But that's the time to kind of withdraw back and just to be in that space. And how do you develop that, yeah? And that is courage. And this is where I also want to distinguish courage from being brave. Because courage comes from the heart, and vulnerability. So being moved by what is there and including everything exactly the way it is, beyond all judgments of right and wrong, good or bad. Yeah? And this is where we'll also meet our resistance. Yeah? Some judgments might be there. There might some conflict, differences that we might meet. Yeah, we'll become present to. And then the ability to wait. So this is what through this entire journey today, this is what we will explore. Yeah? So what I would invite you is maybe just take a moment. We won't do that now, but that's what you can keep bringing in all our exploration is, if you have something in your life that you want, and you've been seeking an insight in, that you want a deeper insight. It could be a conflict, or it could be just something that you have been thinking about. Just pick that. It could even be a belief, a core belief. Yeah? Just to have that with you. You don't even have to share it with whoever you work with. You don't even have to reveal it. Yeah? But that is something for you to know that this is what I will enter, and I will use that. That way you have an insight. You can see how that is at the end of today. Yeah, when we finish this session, what has opened up for you with this? Yeah, and what I have discovered with Constellation, the ways it has deepened my CI, is that it's not the doing that really matters. It's really being able to be with something just the way it is. Yeah, for me and for you. Yeah, and then what happens? And I don't know who was it yesterday who said that. I think it was Luke who said that, about silence, in quietness. And I really believe that. It is in silence that the deepest answers and insight happens. Yeah, and it is a momentary. It shows up, and then it's gone. So to be in liminality and unknown. So these are some things that I wanted to, how many of you are familiar with constellation work? Wonderful. There's so many of you. It's great, yeah? And so others, I'm assuming, are new to the work. So my presentation will be a combination of, so this is where I am. I would also show you in the beginning few slides, just the way that I am placing the wisdom, the philosophy, the training in both. Yeah, so that, so I distinguish it. So in my brain, those kind of things make it easy for me to see, compare both the approaches. So in one way, like in CI, we are in service of the individual. But in Constellation, you're not in service of the individual. You're in service of the individual system. And even more, you're in service of life. Yeah, the life of the system, which is not an individual, but it's the parent, everything that is part of the system, you're in service of that. Yeah. And here I just want to show you some of the ways, like we have our 8 teaching modules of training, the foundational philosophy, and I'm kind of comparing, I'm just bringing what's on the other side in family constellations. You can see the systemic stance, the orders. Go through that today. Then we have the 7 pillars of CI, the stepping stones that we work with. And in Constellation, we have the high art of helping. Yeah? And the process that we work with is the energy order facts. I will go through that. And this is, I feel, the most important part. Yeah? The hygiene of the work. You can also call it the integrity of the work. And I think it has a lot to do with the facilitator, the therapist, the helper, as we say in Constellation. And I feel that it's a continuous process of growth of the facilitator, of the helper, the therapist's own journey of personal growth and personal maturation. Yeah? And I feel the quality skills on the 7 pillars of CI. So constantly, I don't know how many times you look at the 7 pillars of CI. It's something that I look at almost every day. It's important for me to know the 7 pillars because I feel it has something to do with the therapist. It has a very powerful thing there in the 7 pillars of CI. And in Constellation, it is again the maturation of conscience and the high art of helping. And someone asked Bert Hellinger, how can I train in being a Constellation facilitator? And he said, all you got to do is integrate your parents. Once you're okay with your parents, you will be able to do a Constellation. Yeah? So that process is a continuous process of integrating our system. Yeah? And this is, again, I want to show when I say systemic stance and the field of human awareness, I'm showing something I've made it very simple because we went through a lot of many layers we looked at here. But here I'm looking at something, we will look at this, something called as conscience. And I'm bringing this with the Constellation work of the individual soul, the I. Yeah? And then there is the collective, shared, we. Yeah? And so the collective shared, we will have not just one I, it will have many I. Yeah? There are so many individuals in that collective shared soul. And then there is the greater field of possibility, the greater life, the life which we can call it consciousness, whatever we call it, the greater self, within which everything exists. And I feel our journey in being human, our journey of life as we grow, at least I hope for myself, that I'm continuously maturing every day in the way of my ability to hold life. Not just my life, but every life that I come into contact with. How do I expand my ability to hold that? And often that's where I meet my resistance, and that's when I know that, who is missing? Somebody, yeah? So I have to look back and bring back what is missing for me.